Jack Rizzo is not present today. He is currently in the state of New Jersey, also the home of NHL Network. So don't think I'm saying anything that I'm not, but it's just the Noah Show today on the Dump and Chase podcast presented by the Hoosier Network. I'm, of course, Noah Bedoris with Noah Seuss. Seuss, how we feeling?
We're feeling good. I'm ready to talk about some hockey. It's been buzzing after that Olympic break. The trade deadline just happened. There's a lot going on in the NHL after when the second half has begun.
Yeah, I mean, it's already been a very wild second half to start, and the theme of the year has been parity. There's just so many teams that are neck and neck with each other, but since this break, we've seen teams that we kind of expected to fall off finally get that done. But I mean, when you look at the wildcard standings right now, there's 7 points separating the last wild card from the Blackhawks, who are currently the 8th team out. And you look at the East, and you have 5 points separating the last wild card from the 6th team out. And so it's a very close race right now.
When you look at the East, you see a bunch of great teams, but I feel like after Columbus, that's when the fall off comes.
Yeah.
Ottawa.
I still think Ottawa has talent.
Ottawa has talent. The Capitals have fallen off a cliff like we expected. They sold at the deadline. We didn't expect that from the Capitals when they traded John Carlson, but they had just fallen off a cliff. And Florida's kind of picking up a little bit. They're picking up a little steam, and they're kind of nearing the race.
Yeah, I want to talk about this Florida team later, specifically those bottom 3 teams that aren't the Rangers in the East. But we'll get to that later. First, I want to start off. We're back to our normal formula. We had we had the Olympic break, and then we had trade deadline episode. But we're back to player of the week. Seuss, who's your player of the week?
My player of the week is from a team that hasn't been very good this year, but they're picking it up as of late. Jimmy Snuggerud. He has 9 points in 5 games. The Blues are picking it up. They are winning hockey games again. Not against the New York Islanders, though, but they are winning hockey games. They're only, 6 points out of a playoff spot right now. And besides the 2 games in hand, everything is looking up for St. Louis as of late.
Yeah, I'll actually have St. Louis as my team of the week when we get to that point in the show. But Jimmy Snuggerud has been special so far this year, really carrying much of the offensive load despite being a rookie. And I think it gives St. Louis fans a lot of hope in the future of this team because they've traded for a bunch of picks for upcoming drafts. And seeing the way that Snuggerud pans out gives you a lot of confidence in your front office.
Yeah, for a team that's very veteran-based, you have hope going forward that this kid could be the cornerstone of this franchise.
Well, especially when you shed a bunch of veterans at the deadline. When you trade Shen and you trade Justin Falk.
Especially when you get a first and a third for Braden Shen. Yeah.
You're making room for these young guys to step up. And Snuggerud has already been that guy who has stepped up as however old he is, like 20.
Yeah, he's super young. This call of the race is just incredible with the guys in it. With Schaefer, with Snuggerud, with, what's his name, Demidov?
Yeah,
Demidov. It's just a great call of the race. And the NHL is only getting brighter with these young players. There's so many young players. You look at Macklin, you look at Connor Bedard. I just wrote an article for HN. That's why I'm talking about this.
Yeah, I think that the NHL, in a very similar way to the MLB, has greatly improved their talent recognition. Where, years ago, you would have, that top guy who might not even pan out in the NHL. But I think just the pure quantity of youth hockey nowadays and the availability of media to these youth hockey programs has really enhanced, scouts and GM's ability to assess this talent. And so if you're picking, 6th overall in the draft, you still have a lot of confidence that you're going to be able to pull out a potential superstar because you've put in all that work to assess who's going to be that 6th best player.
And viewership has gone up massively, 40% from this year to last year. Just crazy that what these young players are doing to the game.
Yeah.
And they're changing the way it's played. You look at defensemen. Defensemen used to be guys who just sit back, supposed to protect the net, and now their job is mainly offensive defensemen. You look at Schaefer, you look at Hudson, and these are guys that are just flying on the offensive end.
Yeah, and that's just part of the evolution of the game also, is that goal scoring, the game has become so much less offense versus defense with goalie and so much more offense versus goalie, where the defense is taken completely out of it for much of the game, and instead it's just 5 goal scorers versus the 1 goaltender.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll jump into my player of the week, a guy who I believe has been a player of the week before, and that's Marty Necas. Martin Necas, 17 points in the 9 games since the break. He's also at a plus 10 since that break, and a couple of 3-point night against the Kings on the 2nd, and a 4-point night against Dallas on the 6th. Those were both wins for the Avalanche. He's only had one game with 0 points since the Olympic break, and that was against Minnesota. And currently sitting at sixth in the league in points on a team that's full of superstars is also what's incredible about it. That when you think of the Colorado Avalanche, you don't necessarily think Marty Necas as that guy, but he's been putting up that guy numbers.
They have 3 guys in 30-goal range. And that's crazy. But Marty Necas is so overshadowed because of Nathan MacKinnon and because of the rest of the core that's in Colorado. But he's such a talented player. He was great in Carolina as well. But Marty Necas is such an underrated talent, and the Avalanche, he's so key to this Avalanche team.
I almost had Scott Wedgwood as my player of the week because he also had a heck of a week. And he's the current goals against leader and save percentage leader in the NHL. So Colorado has 2 of the top 4-point leaders, or no, 2 of the top 6-point leaders right now, and the best statistical goalie right now. Is there anything stopping this Colorado team?
I'm going to say no at the very moment, but the Central is loaded with talent with those top 2 teams, with the top 3. Dallas, Minnesota, I feel like could give Colorado a run for their money, but Colorado has way too much talent. I think they beat him in net, they beat him defensively, and they beat him on the offensive end of the game.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where, you see it in the NHL playoffs every year, where there is a team who is unbeatable on paper. There's nothing wrong with this Colorado team. There is not a single hole at all. But put them in a 7-game series, who knows who's going to get cold, who's going to get hot in that very moment. Scott Wedgwood could have his worst 5 games of his season, and those are the 5 games that, lead whoever it's going to be. Going to be San Jose at the moment. That leads San Jose to a second-round appearance.
Yeah, you look at, Connor Hellebuck of years past.
Yeah.
He won the Vezina. Great years, but then when he gets into the playoffs, he just crumbled.
Connor. And then gives up 7 goals in St. Louis and has to get pulled every game.
Oh, man. Yeah, but that's a pure example. If you just get hot at the right time, anything can happen in the Stanley Cup playoffs in April.
Speaking of getting hot at the right time, I'll go to my team of the week. And it's a team who does this after the All-Star break almost every single year. And it's the St. Louis Blues, who are 6-1-1 since the Olympic break, I believe. Yeah. 6-1-1, yeah. Which is incredible. And all those wins are against either playoff teams or close to playoff teams. Seattle's not currently in a playoff spot, but they have been as of recent. And then the only regulation losses to New Jersey, who's at 67 points right now. So they faced a tough schedule, and they went 6-1-1.
And most of it was on the road.
Yeah, and 3 of them were big wins. You got the 2 wins over Seattle and 1 win over San Jose, who are both teams that the Blues are trying to catch up to right now in the wild card race. And so they're sitting at 6 points out of a playoff spot, like you said earlier, which is not where you expected this team to be, who were, quite frankly, I don't know if you would call them sellers at the deadline, but they certainly weren't buying. It was almost shedding. You could say they were shedding at the deadline.
Or like a retool.
Yeah, where they weren't totally stripped of all the talent, but they weren't gearing up for a playoff push.
It's not like they traded a lot. In the rumors was Kyrou, Thomas, like I mentioned on the trade deadline show. Bennington, but they kept that core and then traded Shen, got picks back. Like they're just retooling, which is good for the future. You can have a good future in 2 to 3 years down the line and be competing for a Central spot with how weak the Central is right now.
The thing about St. Louis, looking at the rest of the season for them, the 5 teams ahead of them, actually make that 4 teams ahead of them in the wild card race. So the 4 non-playoff teams, Winnipeg, Nashville, LA, and Seattle. If the Blues get hot, none of those 4 teams scare me if I'm the St. Louis Blues.
No, not at all.
If St. Louis is as hot as they are right now and they can maintain this, not quite, to a 6-1 wins-loss ratio, but if they can stay hot, I don't see Seattle being a better team than St. Louis in the second half.
I don't see Nashville either.
Winnipeg, I think, is the only team that I think could get hot in the second half. The Kings are obviously selling.
The Kings are toast.
The Kraken, I don't believe in. The Predators shouldn't be here.
The Sharks.
That's the only issue is that I think Winnipeg or St. Louis could climb back to that first spot out, but I think that San Jose and Utah are still the better teams.
Yeah, the Sharks are so young,
Right.
and they're just led by Macklin, where it's like I can't see them not making the playoffs at this point with their young core.
But part of it is also that St. Louis gets
Streaky.
2 games in March against San Jose.
Yes.
Um,
If you win both,
I'm checking it, and then no games in April against them. But yeah, you get 2 games against the Sharks in April or in March, excuse me, and 1 game against Utah in May. Yeah, they're gonna have a chance,
they're gonna have a chance.
and they're also gonna play Calgary. They're gonna play Vancouver. They're gonna play Toronto.
The winnable games are
They're
there.
very winnable games. They're gonna play LA, who they are gonna have to catch eventually. Even the Blackhawks, if they're gonna continue to fall off. And so I don't think that this St. Louis schedule is too difficult for them if they can maintain the caliber of hockey that they're playing.
Yeah, especially if they can pick up the wins against the teams in front of them and the weaker teams behind them. They're going to be right in that race with those teams ahead of them.
Yeah, I mean it's going to require a lot of good wins. So
Yes.
It's going to be similar to last year. You have to be near perfect down the stretch. But it's not over. They have an absolute chance right now.
It's not over with how weak this wild card race is in the West. You look at the wild card race in the East compared to the West. Columbus would be in the first team out in the East would be in first place in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Well, because the Pacific's just not a good division.
It's not. No.
So who's your team of the week?
So my team of the week is a continuous team of the week all the time. The Dallas Stars. They have been absolutely rolling lately. Only loss in their last 10 games has been to the Colorado Avalanche, which is, of course, the team ahead of them. They are only, 5 points back of the Avalanche at this point. They pretty much locked up a playoffs. Those 3 have been locked since forever.
Since September.
Yeah, since September. They're 9-0-1 in their last 10, and I feel like they have a really good chance at catching the Colorado Avalanche.
Yeah, that's my question then, is what's it going to take for Dallas to catch up to Colorado? Because like we said, the Colorado has genuinely no weakness in their lineup right now. But Dallas has been hanging around for the most part of this season, hovering around that 5 or 6 points out. Is there a chance that Dallas takes that first spot in the West?
Dallas hasn't lost in regulation since January 22nd.
Wow.
If they keep this up, I don't see, and unless the Avalanche play like they did at the beginning, which was win every day, never lose in regulation, then I see the Stars having a chance to catch up to them. They play the Avalanche twice down the stretch, which, again, if you beat a team ahead of you twice,
yeah,
you have a good chance at catching them.
Well, and they're also playing a lot of winnable games as well. I mean, you're going to have Minnesota, who's not easy, but Pittsburgh, Jersey, Philly, Boston,
Calgary, Toronto,
the Rangers.
Yeah,
they're gonna get a chance to catch up. I mean, it's a situation where if you win against the teams that you're catching, and you win the games that you're supposed to, you're gonna
be right there.
You're gonna be right there. Yeah.
Yeah, this Central, the top 3 has always been a lock. It's just which seeding is everyone gonna get?
Yeah.
Who do you want? If you're the Avalanche, you can't lose that top spot because then you're gonna have to face Minnesota in the first round compared to playing a team like the Sharks.
Well, yeah, and that's also a big deal. Is just because of how weak, or not necessarily weak, but how top heavy the Western Conference is. Like you said, that's a big deal. Is getting that first spot in the Central gets you playing San Jose in the first round.
You are 30 points ahead of them.
Which is
if you're
honestly the issue with the whole NHL playoff format, period, is Dallas and Minnesota should not be playing each other in the first round. But they're going to have to if it ends up like this.
Dallas should be the 2 seed overall and have to play like Utah.
Dallas should be playing Utah. Minnesota should be playing Edmonton.
Yes.
That's
the Ducks play Vegas still. But
right, but
the NHL format's just terrible these days. It's been terrible for years.
And Gary Bettman confirmed that it's not going to change anytime soon. He likes it a lot.
Why do you even?
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
I don't understand it. I don't think there hasn't been a situation where somebody has said, "Oh, it's a good thing that you play a team from your division who you already played a million times in the regular season in the first round."
No, because it's not like in the MLB where it's like the divisional round.
Right.
It's the second round of the playoffs. You don't need the best team playing the second best team in the second round. If you're the NHL, you want that in the Western Conference Finals to go to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and that's also part of it.
Viewership.
Yeah, talk about viewership. You have 3 teams in the West that could win the cup.
Yes.
You're going to knock out one of them automatically in the first round, no matter what, because you're making 2 of them play each other.
Exactly.
And so you're going to be down to, we'll say, Colorado and Dallas, and then 2 teams that don't really have a chance.
Yeah, between
Now obviously it's hockey, and who knows what happens, but if you're down to Colorado, Dallas, Vegas, and Anaheim, most people aren't going to care about Vegas and Anaheim.
because Colorado is just going to destroy them.
Yeah.
Any team that comes out of the Central is destroying any team that comes out of the Pacific. If a team comes out of the Pacific, because Utah could easily beat the Ducks.
Yeah.
And then beat whoever they play in the second round.
Yep. And then San Jose will upset Colorado in the first round and prove all of us wrong, and it'll all be
It'll be the Sharks to the Western Conference Finals.
again. Yeah, it'll be we'll get Sharks Blues back in the conference finals just like 2019.
Jeez.
Great series.
That was a great series.
Shout out Jaden Schwartz
Shane Swartz. Where's
at Seattle.
oh
But he was on that Blues team. He was pretty good in the Sharks series, the conference finals, and then the Jet series. And this was before that.
I was on Twitter the other day and I saw the Sharks Golden Knights game, that 3-0 comeback. That game was just also incredible. Like the Sharks have played in some really good playoff hockey games.
Yeah, and I think that the Sharks team right now is. We talked about them in recent weeks, how Seattle held that last playoff spot for a while, but we really still believed that San Jose was the better team. They were better at the top. They were better defensively. Seattle played well as a unit, but they didn't have the star power that most of these playoff teams needed.
No. And if you look at the last 10 for each of these wildcard teams in the West, none of them have over 4 wins besides the Blues.
Yeah.
So if the Blues keep this up, there is a chance.
I'll talk about goal differential real quick because I love it.
You do love goal differential.
The Anaheim Ducks are still at a -9 goal differential, and they're winning the Pacific. I don't know how a team can do that.
And Utah has a +21.
Yeah. I don't.
Crazy.
It's ridiculous. And San Jose's at -24.
Just nuts.
I think you could figure out a playoff format that changes every year where if a team gives up more goals than they allow, they shouldn't be a playoff team. There's no reason why. Now, I think San Jose's a good team, but they're being outscored so much this season. I don't know. It's weird.
It is weird. They shouldn't be a playoff
No
team.
team should be winning their division with a negative goal differential.
No, not even
But
close.
Anaheim proves us wrong.
I like Anaheim. They're young. They're fun.
While Colorado sits at a +86.
And they're just in the playoffs automatically, even though they haven't clinched. I am ready for the playoffs right now. We gotta sim past this month of March.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have World Baseball Classic ends next week.
Yep. Opening day.
And opening day is in a few weeks. We'll be in St. Louis for second series of the MLB season.
The
Mets
3 of
Cards.
us.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
And then March Madness will wrap up, and then we're sitting at NHL and NBA playoffs.
Great time of the year for sports.
It's a common debate. Is March or October the better month for sports?
I love playoff baseball, but I only like it when the Mets are in it.
Yeah, I think I might agree. I love playoff baseball. I watch every MLB playoff game, but I feel like if the Cardinals aren't in the postseason,
Then whatever.
the excitement for opening day is so much higher than the excitement for the playoffs.
But then you look at the NHL playoffs. Whenever, like, if the Islanders are in it, or if they're not in it, I'm still watching all the playoff games that are happening. And I feel like they're a little more electric than playoff baseball is.
It's close.
It's so close.
Those are the top 2 for sure. I'll move into my not team of the week because we've already talked about them a little bit, and that's the Seattle Kraken, who have suffered 4 straight losses. They are 2-6 since coming back from the Olympic break, and in 6 of those 8 games, they've scored only 2 goals or less. They've moved out of a playoff spot. They're only a point behind San Jose, but they are not playing good hockey right now. And I am counting them out a little bit. I don't think that Seattle has what it takes to come back from this. Especially, I mean, looking at their schedule, finishing out the rest of this month, they're gonna get 2 games against the Lightning,
Ooh,
Buffalo,
Buffalo's been good.
2 against Florida, which Florida isn't, a great team right now, but that's not
But
a
they
guarantee.
can still give you a fight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
They're going to Edmonton, and then next month you get 2 against Vegas, a game against Minnesota, a game against Colorado, a game against Utah. I don't think that the schedule will allow Seattle to make a playoff push.
Yeah, and especially you look at the teams they lost to down the stretch: St. Louis, Ottawa, and Nashville. Right now, those 3 teams are sitting out of a playoff spot. The only good loss is to Colorado, and they beat Carolina. Like, what? They're just confusing. They can't figure out what they want to do, if they want to be a contender, or if they want to just lose like they are. And their goaltending is just atrocious. Grubauer and Decord have not been looking good since the break, and they just need to find their footing.
Yeah, and Seattle's also a team that we've reaffirmed this, but they don't have the guy.
They don't have that guy.
That's where San Jose benefits, is you have Macklin Celebrini, who has the ability to carry the offense when needed. There isn't anybody on the Seattle roster that I look at and think that's a guy who can put up, 70 points in a season.
Yeah, Jordan Eberle has 44 and is their first point leader.
Yeah.
That is terrible.
And his plus minus is +4, by the way.
And then Vince Dunn, their top point getting defenseman, has a -24.
Yeah. They're a team that doesn't score a lot of goals, period. And so that's what it puts a lot of stress on guys like Grubauer, who statistically is still having a very good season. But like you say, he's been cold as of late. So I worry for Grubauer. He didn't have the best Olympics.
No.
I don't think that Seattle's going to be relevant in a few weeks when we get really close to playoff time.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be in this race come down the stretch.
No.
And that's going to be the end of them.
Speaking of teams that are in this playoff stretch, Seuss, let's go to your not team of the week, staying in the same Western Conference.
My not team of the week is the Utah Mammoth. They have been struggling as of late, losing their last 3 games, 2 to the Chicago Blackhawks and 1 to the Minnesota Wild. They're very streaky. They're a hot and cold type of team. They won 3 against the Metro teams and then lost 3 to teams in their division. So they're very hot and cold. They lost 3-2 to the Blackhawks twice and lost 5-0 to the Wild. Utah, it's going to be very close if they make the playoffs because they kind of have comfort because the Pacific is so bad and the West is so bad, but their schedule as of recent is not great. You play Pittsburgh, you play Dallas, you play Vegas, you play Anaheim, you play Edmonton. Washington can beat you on any given night. Edmonton again, Carolina, and then a team like St. Louis and Winnipeg. So it's going to be very hard for this Utah team to make the playoffs, in my opinion.
I think that if Utah is at their best, they are a very, very good hockey team.
Yes.
And I expect them to maintain. I think they're going to pick up some steam down the stretch, and they're going to win the hockey games that they need to, and they're going to be a playoff team. The things that make me confident about the Mammoth is the top 3 point getters on this team right now. You have Clayton Keller, you have Nick Schmaltz, and you have Dylan Guenther. Those 3 guys, believe, can continue to carry a team like Utah. And then you have a great supporting cast. I mean, you have Cruz, you have Petrarca, Marino, all guys that are not incredible, but they're producing. Goaltending's a little bit of a question for me. Not putting up not bad stats at all, but not anything that's lights out goaltending as of recent.
No, you look at the save percentages; they're both below 900.
Yeah, they are.
But the goals against aren't terrible.
Yeah, but they also just have really good defense in general.
Yeah,
they have a very strong defense.
Sean Dursey's great defensive defenseman. Sergachev's awesome scoring wise and defensive wise. Yeah, they have a good depth piece. I think they are gonna be fine. They just gotta win the games on the stretch that they gotta win.
And part of it for Utah also is that they're at the top of the wild card standings right now in the West, and so their job isn't to catch up. So, obviously you're 6 points ahead of San Jose. For Utah to miss the playoffs, they're going to need 2 of the Sharks, Kraken, King, Preds, Jets, and Blues to get really hot down the stretch. And I think that even if Utah is on a cold streak right now, they have the pieces to hang on.
But the thing is, everyone has games in hand on them.
Yeah.
The Sharks have 3 games in hand on Utah right now. The Sharks could catch them.
I could see that. But yeah, it's interesting just because there's such a big difference between scoreboard watching and game watching.
Yes.
You look at the standings right now. San Jose and Seattle are 1 point separate, and I would tell you that San Jose is such a better team than Seattle is. I firmly believe that the Sharks are that much better than San Jose.
It's like such a big difference between those two.
Yeah.
I think San Jose, the Kings, the Predators, San Jose is just better than all 3 of those teams behind them.
I think the Kings and Preds aren't even
in the same.
No.
league.
I think that the Jets and Blues have a better resume than the Kings and Preds just because of the roster. The Predators, I don't have any faith in. The Kings, I don't have any faith in. I really think I'll be surprised if the playoff teams change in the West.
Yes, in the West, I feel like it could stay just depending on the Jets and the Blues.
Yeah, I think those are the only teams. Seattle, I still believe, could make a push. I just don't think that they're that much better than San Jose. I don't think they're better at all than San Jose.
The Jets are I've been doing this for weeks now.
Yeah.
The Jets, I still see them going on a run.
They've lost their past 2.
They lost their past 2, but if they play the Avalanche, but if they can get going, they could be a serious threat to the Avalanche. Oh, this schedule's hard.
Yeah.
They play the Avalanche 3 times down this stretch. That's terrible. And they could be a serious threat if they beat the Avalanche at least twice down the stretch. They could show them they can play with them. And that's not an easy round 1 for the Avalanche.
The thing that does make me not believe in Winnipeg is looking back at this full season, Winnipeg has sat very quietly near the bottom of the West the entire time. Teams like Chicago, Chicago still has a chance. You could even throw them in there if you want to. Chicago, St. Louis, the Kings, Preds, Kraken have all at one point or another been hot.
Yes.
They've been either in a playoff spot or close to a playoff spot. Winnipeg has yet to even be close to playoff contention. They've just been hovering, 5 to 10 points out the entire season. And so that's what restrains me on them is that I believe that the roster is still good. It's almost the same roster as we saw last year when they were a Stanley Cup contender, but they haven't proven to catch fire at all this season. At least St. Louis and at least Chicago and at least the Kings have been the hottest team in the league at some point this year. The Jets have not.
Yeah, they've all shown signs of, okay, we can compete for a playoff spot.
Right.
When the Jets have just been...
The Jets have been flat the whole year.
But there has to be a point, this roster is too talented where they just don't show up the whole season. They have to show up at some point.
Yeah, but I think they're running out of time to show up.
They are running out of time. There is, there's 18 games left in their season.
Yeah.
And time is ticking on Winnipeg.
Yeah, that's the thing is that everybody is under 20 games left right now.
Yes.
Like we are in
the home stretch.
We are in the back stretch, which is, it's crazy. I want to talk about 3 teams in the East right now.
Because we haven't really touched on the East.
We haven't talked about the East a whole lot. Considering, like we just said, it's home stretch time. Florida, Toronto, New Jersey. Who is panicking the most and who is the most confident out of these 3 teams?
Right now, who is panicking the most is the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I agree.
Because that fan base is so dedicated to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I think, was it yesterday, Ratko Gudas took out Austin Matthews?
Yeah.
If Austin Matthews is hurt, the season's wraps. I think the season's wraps right now. So maybe it's time to just say, Austin Matthews, just sit out the remainder of the year and just get ready for next year. Get a top 10 draft pick and put him with the great core you have. And maybe you think Mitch Marner was not the problem in Toronto.
I'll be very surprised if Craig Berube stays.
I'll be so surprised.
What year is this? He hasn't been in Toronto very long.
No, is this year 2?
I think so.
And they haven't gotten the most out of their players.
Awesome. Yeah, so this will be the end. After this year, it'll be 2 seasons.
Yes.
I think he's done. I truly think that in a franchise as prestigious as the Toronto Maple Leafs, where you haven't had success and you have a frankly terrible season that you don't compete the entire year, I don't believe that Craig Berube is a good coach. I don't think he ever really has been. I think he just had a really hot stretch in 2019
Yes.
and then got him that 15 minutes of fame. I don't think that Berube stays in Toronto. I think they let him go.
Yeah.
And if not, he has one more chance.
One more year, and you need your star players to show up. Austin Matthews, 53 points in 60 games is great, but he's the second highest paid player in all of the National Hockey League, and he is fourth on the Maple Leafs in points. That is unacceptable for a player of Austin Matthews' status.
Yeah.
I am a big supporter in getting him out of Toronto. Toronto's had 5 goalies, 5 different starting goalies.
I was going to
this
say
year.
that's the big issue for Toronto.
That is huge. Remember that rant we went on at that was a long time ago.
It was a couple months ago.
It was a couple months ago.
That Toronto just every year they're like Edmonton, where they
Yes.
can build such a good roster of skaters, but they never have consistency in net, and they waste seasons after seasons with such a good fan base and such high hopes and really no recent history to speak of. And they're just wasting years. They are wasting Austin Matthews' career right now by not playing good hockey and not building around the guys that are supposed to be good hockey players.
But besides the core 4, which is now Knives included, they don't really get scoring from anywhere else.
No.
It's been a lackluster year for the depth in Toronto. The whole thing was that they replaced Mitch Marner with a bunch of depth pieces, and it hasn't showed up. And that's another point where they lack, besides the goaltending.
Yeah, I mean, you have Nylander leading the way, and then Austin Matthews is 4th in points, and he has a negative plus minus. Everybody has a negative plus minus, by the way. Is there anybody? Jacob McCabe has a +8. And the goaltending is just bad. The goaltending is not good at all. Anthony Stolarz was supposed to be the guy. He has a 3.4 goals against and an 890 save percentage, which is bad. That is a bad hockey season right there. And they didn't do anything at the deadline either. They didn't make them. They are a team who is supposed to be good, is expected to be good, but they're playing in the best division in hockey, and they did nothing to make themselves better.
You would think you would see a player like John Tavares. He's at the end of his prime, end of his career. He's had a great year, 54 points in 66 games. You'd think they would try to move him at the deadline to get some draft capital back. This is a downward spiral for this Maple Leafs team, and they didn't do anything to make the future brighter.
Yeah, I think it's just, I don't know if you call it pride or you call it stubbornness from the front office, but there's no eagerness to either make your team better now or make your team better in the future. You're sticking with these guys. You're sticking with, like you said, those core 4 who are going to be your most productive offensive pieces, but there's nothing to speak of for the future of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
There is nothing. Until you fix the goaltending problem, which has been a problem since John Tavares got there in 2019.
Yeah.
Until you fix that, they are not going to win a damn thing in this hockey league.
No. I want to go to the team that I think is panicking the least right now, and that's the New Jersey Devils. I think that Jersey sits in a good place, maybe not necessarily for this season, but for the future, because we've seen them, be competitive and even, cup contenders in recent seasons, and they play in such a weak division where I don't expect the Rangers to be that much better in the next few years. I don't think that the Capitals will be any better. I think that the Flyers are going to get worse. I think Pittsburgh's going to get worse. I think it's Carolina, New York, Columbus, and Jersey are the 4 teams in the Metro that I expect to be good next year.
Those are the 4 teams in the Metro that have an up talent of young players. You look at New Jersey, they have Luke Hughes, they have Jack Hughes, Dawson Mercer, Nico Hischier. The list goes on and on with the Devils prospects. And they're just going to be boosted with their future coming in. And while teams like Pittsburgh, Washington are going to fall off a cliff because their aging veterans are heading out.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about the Devils right now because, like we said, we're getting too close to the end. But they're only 13 points out of 3rd place in the Metro.
Yes. Which isn't bad for how bad the Devils have been.
And they are 12 out of a wild card spot. I don't think
if they win the West, they would have this locked. 2 points out of a playoff spot right now.
Yeah. I don't think that Jersey makes a push, but if I'm a fan of the Devils, I am the least upset. Florida, I think, still has the roster. I think that they'll regroup for next year. I don't think that there's a whole lot of changes that the Panthers will need to make. And it might just be a wash of a season where everybody gets a year older.
You may have to focus if you're Florida in net because if Sergei Bobrovsky leaves,
Yeah.
what's the plan going forward?
Yeah, but I think it's hard. I think that'll be a hard sell for anybody to get him to leave Florida.
Yeah, I think Florida's going to pay him
Whatever he wants.
whatever he wants.
Blank check
it, and then they're going to be right back in the playoff push next year.
Yeah, I mean, out of those 3 teams, I expect Florida and Jersey to be competitive or even back next year.
Yes.
Toronto. I don't know.
It's
you need goaltending changes and you need coaching changes.
Yes.
I firmly believe that. I think everything else you can bandage.
Yes, you can put it together.
Yeah,
for 1 year.
But for those 2 spots, I worry if I'm a Maple Leafs fan, and there's a lot of Maple Leafs fans who are worried right now.
Who are in such the prices are nuts for Maple Leafs games in Toronto.
Yeah,
and they haven't had a winner on the ice this year, and they desperately want a winner. You see in the last couple years when they made the playoffs, they couldn't get past the first round, and now they're just falling off the playoff picture completely.
Let's stay in the East to wrap up the show. Let's talk about the Buffalo Sabres. Susie talked to me before we started rolling about how excited you were to talk about this Buffalo team. Take it away.
Man.
Talk about how good this team has been as of late.
Buffalo has been absolutely rolling, beating Tampa twice, scoring 6 goals in both of those games. That 8-7 game against Tampa was absolutely incredible. Maybe the best game of hockey I watched this whole season besides the gold medal game because I'm a U.S. fan. But besides that, the Buffalo Sabres have been rolling, and it's great for Buffalo, for the fan base who hasn't seen a winner in, 15 years? I am so pumped for the Sabres team. They're in first place in the Central.
And
they
don't play anybody
No.
for the rest of the month that you should be worried about. I mean, Vegas is a good team. The Sharks are a good team. But you're going to get Toronto. You're going to get the Kings, the Ducks, who are good. But there's nobody that Buffalo should be afraid of to close out the month of March. And then you look ahead to April, a game against the Lightning, a game against the Stars. Like, there is a legit chance that Buffalo loses 4 games the rest of the year.
I could see Dallas. I could see Tampa. I can maybe see the Islanders.
Because there's going to be the occasional game where,
Vegas.
Like Vegas could be a loss, or even you lose to
one of the 3
Detroit.
Teams,
But this team is rolling, and there's really nothing in their way right now. And I really believe they're going to take that top spot.
I really hope so, because a home, even if they get second,
they're going to get a home game no matter what.
A home playoff series in Buffalo would be absolute madness.
Yeah.
But I also want a home playoff series in Montreal. Because I like that Bell Center environment.
So Montreal jumps Tampa in your
I want
reality?
Montreal to jump Tampa.
I think it could happen.
It could happen.
They're only 2 points out.
But I think Tampa jumps Buffalo because they have the 2 games in hand.
I don't know.
It's going to be close.
I think Buffalo's schedule is just so light.
Let's look at Tampa.
To close out the season. Habs are going to have a tough one to some degree. Yes. Not terrible, but I mean, you're going to get to play the Lightning.
Tampa has an easy schedule, too.
Yeah, but so does Buffalo, and Buffalo's up right now.
Yeah.
The
2 games in hand are
the Habs are going to get 2 games against the Lightning.
Yes, to catch them.
If they can keep pace, win them both, Montreal gets game 1 at home in the playoffs, which would be awesome.
I think any of those 3 environments in the playoffs is just great environments.
Yeah, but Tampa's the worst.
Tampa is the worst. I even like Detroit as a home playoff environment better than Tampa.
Yeah. All right, let's close it out. What are you looking forward to this week?
What am I looking forward to this week? I'm looking forward to an original 6 rivalry between the Bruins and Montreal. At Montreal. Like I said, that environment is just incredible, and especially when the Bruins come to town.
Yeah, but are the Bruins that good nowadays? Compared to I don't think it's going to be that good of a game. I think that Montreal's that much better.
But
it's still going to be fun.
It's still going to be fun, but we'll see if the Bruins can keep the pace.
And the Bruins are a playoff team barely right now.
Barely. I think Columbus catches them and jumps them.
My game I'm going to be watching this week is the 2 best teams in the NHL, and that's Dallas and Colorado this Wednesday. That'll be fun.
That will be a fun one. Yep. Both teams coming in absolutely rolling. And we'll see if Dallas can catch the Avalanche in the stretch.
Well, no show next week. It's our spring break, but we'll catch you next time. This has been the Dump and Chase podcast presented by the Hoosier Network. I'm Noah Bedoris. with Noah Seuss. He's right there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.